Hey guys, in this video I have this 1220-in-1 arcade supergun sent to me by Gearbest for review. I'd like to thank them for letting me share this with you. I got it in the mail recently and I'll quickly go through what's included, and basically includes your standard 12 volt 3 amp power supply, and they usually always come with a couple of these replacement buttons. And here is your HDMI cable, and they're usually a decent length. And here is a USB male to male to plug up to your computer to use your arcade stick as a controller. And finally, there's the VGA cable, and of course there's always a manual that is included if you want to read about it. These systems usually come nicely packed in foam to prevent it from getting damaged. So this is the design that they sent me, but they do come with other graphics as well, and I'll quickly take it out of the box to show you what it's like. I quite like this design because it's really generic compared to other ones which has Street Fighter or King of Fighters artwork on it. And this is a nice change. And on the back you will see your standard inputs and outputs. So the layout is pretty much the same as the other systems I've shown you, with the power on off switch on the left, and then there's the input for 12 volts, HDMI, VGA, headphone jack, volume control, and there is the button to get into settings. And over there you have the USB ports, and you plug it up to your computer and it allows you to use your arcade sticks as a controller. I've reviewed quite a few of these over the last year, and I find them to be exceptional value, especially if you want an arcade system in the home but you don't have the time to build one, and most importantly the space to store one. They just plug up to any TV or monitor via VGA or HDMI. All the games and controls are built in, and it's just plug and play. After you're done, you can put it in the closet. They make excellent gifts for any video game fan and will liven up any party or event. They have arcade games that span many decades, so there should be something for everyone. Whether you're into classics from the 70s or the schmupps and beatemups from the 90s and 2000s, a lot of companies are making these now, and you can find them pretty much everywhere online for sale. And because of the competition, they really drove down the prices for these systems. Just a year ago, you'd be paying anywhere from $300 to $400 after shipping. Now you can buy them for under $200, so competition is always a good thing since they drive down the cost. These systems have a lot of games that aren't properly licensed in North America, but in China, anything goes. Frankly, seeing the success of the Nintendo NES and SNES Classic re-releases, if other companies like Capcom or Taito were to release an arcade system similar to these but with their own games, they would sell just as well. Maybe one day we'll see a dual arcade stick by Capcom with all their arcade hits like Street Fighter built in. But until then, these Pandora boxes and cloned arcade systems fill the gap quite nicely and offer great value for what you're paying. So this unit claims to have 1,200 games, 1,220 to be exact. As great as that sounds, I think you shouldn't really be focused on the number of games any of these systems have. No matter which Pandora's box or Raspberry Pi system I turn on, I usually end up playing the same 12 games. As more and more of these systems are sold every year, they will continue to add more games, and your system will be out of date in a month or so. So don't focus on the number of games too much. Just find the one you want at the right price, because 5 years from now, they will probably have an arcade system with 10,000 games. This unit has the same sort of interface like many of the other Pandora's box systems or clones. It runs the common all-winner A13 silicon on chip, and for the most part, it's able to keep up with the games, but because it's emulation, it's not 100% perfect. If you're an arcade buff, you probably wouldn't even look at one of these types of systems. You'll probably look at superguns that run the actual arcade boards and think emulation is for kids. But for the casual enthusiasts like myself or my friends, these are awesome. To keep the cost down, most of these systems won't have Sanwa or Seiyamitsu parts, but the joysticks and buttons used are clones, and they are fine for most people. They are clickier, but you can of course replace them in the future. They're just standard 30mm and have the same wiring as the original Japanese parts. Most of my casual gaming friends prefer the clickier buttons and find the Sanwas mushy, but to each their own. If you have a few more dollars to spend, get some quality Japanese parts because they will require less force to push. The top for the control panel is a thick acrylic which holds up quite well. The enclosure is made of some sort of sheet metal and it feels really solid. Like I've mentioned many times before, When the internals becomes obsolete, you can always gut them out and put whatever you want in the future. A Raspberry Pi, an Android box, or even a PC. There is still lots of room for modification if that is your thing. Arcade controls haven't changed much in the last 40 years, and the next 40 years will probably have the same controls, so a solid enclosure like this one can be used for future projects. And of course, you can use it as is. I still have my very first Pandora's box, and it only has about 600 games, and I honestly don't feel like I'm missing any games even when I power up newer Pandora's box systems that have like 800 or more games. I usually play the same games all the time. Anyways, that's it for this video. The 1201 arcade system from Gearbest gives you a ton of games at your fingertips. They make great gifts for yourself or anyone you know. Links to the things I mentioned in this video will be in the description. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
Mission 1, start! Thank you. Heavy machine gun. Heavy machine gun.
Ready. Fight!
Tornado claw.
Tap.
Tornado claw.
Good. Fantastic. Good.
Precision barrage.
Let's go.